the key difference is that we have this charter school agency, and to quote David Seymour, the Associate Minister, charter schools will largely be funded on a per-student basis. Funding will be broadly equivalent to that of state schools with similar roles and characteristics. But there are accountability measures under the charter school agency.
Well, she didn't call it out.
Reporting, auditing and sanctions that are more stringent than the previous partnership schools model. That's a big difference.
I've been sitting on select committee. This is a dodgy piece of legislation. This is not one that I would recommend for anybody to actually undertake. It's been rushed through. I also...
And so I would go, why? Why is it dodgy? She has there's a very good story here about an Australian group who are obviously just after the dollar, but she's just not quite, I'm a little bit of credit. She's not quite across the numbers as much as she should be. And I think Willie Jackson's comments have thrown a bit of a what do you say? Something into the engine? Whatever. Cause some problems for them to have to actually deal with.
I'm really concerned about some of the hearings that we've heard just this week. And these are public hearings, so I'm not saying anything that's happened outside of the public hearings. But just this week, there was an Australian charter school conglomerate who did their presentation, who are actively seeking to come here to work with New Zealand kids. They have charter schools with 1,500 kids in Australia. They are with disengaged kids. When I asked about their work with Māori and how they could work with Māori, who predominantly make up those statistics, they had no idea. And they gave an answer. And look, all credit to them. They are there purely for money. Well, this is about
lucky we've got this accountability measure, right? So there's going to be reporting, auditing and sanctions. The charter school agency can remove a charter school's, can remove it from operating if it doesn't meet the required standards.
We're still putting schools that will put profit ahead of kids. We're also, they don't have to teach the New Zealand curriculum. But if the kids get better outcomes, surely that's a net positive. They don't have to teach the New Zealand curriculum. They don't have to have registered teaching.
I'm not sure, with respect, that the New Zealand curriculum has necessarily been working for our students. If you go and look at those achievement standards over the last 2 decades.
There you go. That's the end of the conversation that we're going to play with.
I got to admit, when I watched it on Sunday, that is a hard statement to counter. Right?
Which one's specifically?
Like, as much as the argument against charter schools being, well, they don't have to teach the New Zealand curriculum, and the comment after that was like, well, I don't think we can defend our curriculum if those are the results that we're getting from it. Yeah, that's a pretty devastating sort of thing. And I think, as much as I'm against charter schools, and I am, because I think that is privatization, the answers need to get better than they'll try and make a profit.
Yeah,
because that's a very easy thing to counter, is like, well, sometimes profit's not bad, right? They have to get better at answering that question.
Yeah,
like,
and
I think the real answer here is, are charter schools going to get more money per student than a state school would be? Because then it's not a fair comparison.
When we know that they're being given more per student for the state school, we understand, but maybe the way they work it out is, like the school that's down the road that's already got buildings and all those kinds of things, they don't give them money for the buildings. Maybe charter school, they include that in the per child amount or something. I'm not sure. But what I was going to say is, and we say this all the time when we hear Luxo Flakes being talked about like he's running the country like a business, that this is not a business, and business's primary and sole objective is to return its investor a profit. That's it. And actually they are legally required to try and do that, to return their investor, their shareholders, their owner a profit, right? You can't, especially if you've got shareholders, you can't not do everything you can to return a profit. And as soon as you put that into a service, because education is a service, right? That's when you get the worries and the concerns. I mean, the proof will be in the pudding. Notice they only ever talk about one charter school, and that's that military one. There's no other ones they talk about.
Yeah.
But like I said, Willie hasn't helped the situation by basically having to admit, and we played this back a few weeks ago, that he supported charter schools for Māori, and he would be a hypocrite not to kind of say it again this time around. And now you've got the left also saying no to charter schools. So, Yeah, I'm not saying I don't want to have a political party just do messaging based on ideologies. I want them to talk and speak the truth, but that's an issue for them. It's an issue for them that they're actively going, this education is not serving Māori well, so that means a charter school might actually serve them better. No, we have to change the whole system to service them well. You know, there's an issue there that they need to figure out.
Yeah. I mean, I must admit, when you talked about charter schools to start with, that was one of the first things that I thought of, was that we're always talking about how the current system doesn't serve Māori well, and maybe they should set up their own system. And charter schools seem to be the answer to that.
At the current answer, yeah.
Yeah, and it's, you know, when you dig a little bit further than that, it's just like, well, no, we don't want Māori to go off and do their own thing in education necessarily. We want our whole education system to become more, with more Māori involved. You know, I think there was another, I don't think we played a clip of it about it, but was talking about teachers' competency and confidence in teaching math. Was really interesting in there as well. Just from a professional development, there was a stat mentioned about how many teachers feel confident in teaching math, and it was a scarily low number. So, I mean, is it the kids that are doing it wrong, or are the teachers going through teachers' college not getting it right? Do we have the right people? Yeah, it's such a big thing.
Yeah.
And I think the government that we have just wants to go, well, our big solution to this is structured whatever and charter schools, big rubber stamp, job done. And I don't have the confidence that they have taken the best advice to get to that position.
Yeah.
I think they have lobbyists in their party that believe that they're the people that are telling them what to do. I think it's a good idea, and there's definitely profit to be extracted. And I think it is coming into that whole thing of like privatizing a core part of the functions of the state here in New Zealand.
Yeah.
That's what's giving me the ick about this whole thing.